Hey everyone, my name is Penny Zanker, and it's time to reset. This podcast goes beyond just navigating change. It's about new ways of thinking about how you can approach challenges, how you can shift your mindset when needed, create some space and grace for yourself so that you can rethink, recharge, and reprioritize when and where needed. Are you ready to unlock your full potential? Thank you for hitting play and sharing this next episode with me. It's time to reset. Hello and welcome to Take Back Time. My name is Penny Zanker and I'm your host. And I'm always looking for people who are going to challenge you to think differently, people who have achieved great success and just being able to bring you the tips and tricks that are going to help you to think differently and to be more successful in what you do. And today I'm super excited to have Adam Mendler with us. He is an entrepreneur, a writer, a speaker, an educator, and nationally recognized authority on leadership. He's the creator and host of the business and leadership podcast, 30-Minute Mentors, where he regularly elicits insights from America's top CEOs, founders, athletes, celebrities, and political and military leaders. And without further ado, you can read more about Adam, but let's really tap into his knowledge with all of these incredible interviews that he's done to help us better our leadership and better our productivity. So Adam, welcome to the show.
Penny, thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here, excited to spend time with you. It's Friday, but what better way to spend a Friday than spending it with you and spending it with your listeners? Fired up.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. So you have done incredible interviews with so many incredible people. There's so many questions that I could ask and want to ask. Out of all the interviews that I've done, I found that one of the core things, like if I had to really narrow it down, I really hear most often that focus is one of the core success factors from the people that I've spoken to. Now, I don't know if that's my bias and my lens of talking to them. What would you say are like three of the core success principles? And I know that's crazy for me to ask that because they're all over the place. But if you had to really think about some of the common themes of successful leaderships and successful people, what might be three things that really stand out for you in all those interviews?
Penny, great question. And focus is extremely important. We could spend all day, all night talking about focus, and I hope we do.
We will.
I'll share some other things that I think are really important for listeners to think about. First and foremost, very big believer in the power of self-awareness. Before you can effectively lead others, you need to be able to lead your own life. Before anyone is going to follow you, you need to become a person worth following. It all starts with understanding who you are. I've interviewed hundreds of America's top leaders, and I've put together a list of the most important qualities that the most successful leaders have. Right at the heart of it is self-awareness. So that's one big topic right off the bat. When you look at everyone, that's a big one. Something else that I think is interesting, and actually just yesterday was doing a Zoom with someone who I interviewed, CEO of a highly successful company. We were talking about this, and this is a theme that comes up in so many of my conversations with so many great leaders: humility, which ties into lifelong learning. Really go hand in hand.
Well, it goes hand in hand with self-awareness too, doesn't it? Because I think when you're self-aware, that brings you to a place of more humility as well, right? I mean,
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think all of these principles really connect, really tie in together. And the characteristics that so many of the most successful people have are shared. You look at people who have been able to make it to the top in business. People have been able to make it to the top in sports, in entertainment, in the military, in the political world. You're able to really hone in on these same characteristics. So going back to humility, tying into lifelong learning, the most successful people don't walk into a room and start speaking. They walk into a room and start listening.
Yeah.
They understand that every single person that they meet is an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to grow. And the most successful people are continually seeking out content that can make them better, content that can help them get to that next level. It's that growth mindset. So that's another big one. And Penny,
Absolutely.
just because it's your show, just because I can't hold myself back, I'm staring at you, I'm staring at your screen. I see focusologist. I'm going to have to go with focus. Focus is so important. And especially for anyone listening who's an entrepreneur, and I feel like everyone nowadays is an entrepreneur in some sense. Everyone has a side hustle. Even if you're not an entrepreneur, how many entrepreneurs are there? And today, there are so many things that consume our time. There's so many things that pull us in competing directions. How do we manage that? How can you be successful if you lack focus? How can you be successful if you're spending your day trying to accomplish 20 different things? You can't. That's a critical factor to being able to succeed.
Absolutely. Well, if we just turn it to some of the other things that you talked about, right? Is that those successful people that you're talking about, and I've experienced that as well in the interviews that I've done, and even in my own personal success, right? Is the more self-aware, the more curious and open to learn more things and really be humble and allow others to lead, right? So sometimes that's the greatest form of leadership, right? Is to allow others to lead and be able to lead from the sidelines kind of thing. That's a focus that they have, right? Is to focus on being, I think you said it in the context of being a better listener than the person who is telling everybody what to do, right? So it's always about where we're focusing our attention and what is going to create the best result for us as a leader.
Great leaders are great listeners. Great leaders ask great questions. Great leaders fundamentally care about people. And something that I tell people all the time is you can be really successful in life if you don't like people. There are lots of people who are really successful and darn good with people, actually hate people. But you can't be a successful leader if you don't fundamentally love people. Being a leader is all about helping others become their best selves. And to your point, Penny, your job as a leader is to develop other great leaders, to help people get to that next level. That's what it's all about.
So what would you think that all of those leaders and successful entrepreneurs and athletes and so forth, what do you think if you had to combine it into one definition of productivity? What do you think it would be?
Ooh, that's a good question. One singular definition of productivity that brings everyone together. I'm going to have to think about that.
Okay. We can come back to that if you want.
Okay. Yeah. If there were a Penny, something that I always tell people is most people in life are bad at most things. We're all good at a few things. We all have one thing about us that makes us special. It's our superpower. You're going to find out over the course of this interview, I'm bad at most things. You ask me questions like that, I don't know the answer to that. I'm going to have to think about it. Let's come back.
Well, sure. I mean, it doesn't make you bad at it because you have to think about it. I think we also have to be a little bit more gentle on ourselves, right? In the way that, I mean, I've come to realize in my lifetime, and we don't have to have all the answers, right? But we do need to come with a sense of curiosity to be open to the answers, right? And kind of what you said earlier about humility and ego and things like that. I think my experience is the best leaders, they also don't have all the answers and they don't pretend that they have all the answers. They just want to do what's right and work towards those answers step by step.
Penny, because we're not in the same room, because we're virtual, I will accept your virtual pat on the back. I'll take it. I agree with you 110%. One of the most underrated and critical elements of effective leadership is vulnerability. The most successful leaders are those who are not afraid of admitting, I'm wrong. I don't have all the answers. I don't know the answer. If you pretend to know everything, if you pretend to be perfect, you're going to lose your credibility. Such an important topic in business today, such an important topic, period, is building trust. How do leaders build trust? How do people build trust? And it's really one step at a time. It's by being authentic. It's by being genuine. It's by keeping your word. It's by not pretending to be someone you're not. It's by doing what you say you're going to do. It's by leading by example. It's by being yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just curious, how did all of this start for you? How did you start to do these interviews and what took you down this path?
I have a pretty unconventional path, and that is part of the beauty. I don't think that there is a linear path to success in life, and my path has been anything but linear. For those of you who don't know me or starting to get to know me, I'm a Los Angeles native, born and raised here in beautiful Los Angeles. It's beautiful most days out of the year, but this winter has been kind of cold for us. So Penny, if there's anything you can do about that, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, God, yeah, let me just sprinkle some dust.
Well, you have some power around focus. Maybe you could focus your energy and manifest some good weather for us in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's within my focus realm, but
you never know. Don't be afraid to ask. Another important tip. Don't be afraid to ask.
Don't be afraid
I'm
to
asking you.
All right.
And you could say
see what
no,
I can do.
I did my undergrad at USC. I did well in college. I was Phi Beta Kappa, all the awards, honors, all that good stuff. And when you do well in school, it sort of sets you up on a certain path, a certain trajectory. So after college, I went and got a big corporate job. I worked for what was then the largest hedge fund in the world. I did that for a couple of years and then took the next step on the journey, got my MBA at a good school, and then took the next step, went and worked in corporate America again, big Fortune Global 150 company. And when I was 28, there wasn't really a term for it back then, but now everyone knows it as the Great Resignation. I sort of came to this realization that I wasn't necessarily doing what I was passionate about, what was bringing me joy, happiness, fulfillment, and got off the train and was trying to figure out what was next. So what was next for me was starting a business with my brother. We started a few different businesses. We started 2 different e-commerce businesses and a software development company. And being an entrepreneur is crazy, period. I think anyone who's an entrepreneur will tell you it's crazy.
The wild ride.
But what happened along the way is I started doing some writing, and my articles got picked up in major media outlets, Forbes, Inc., Huffington Post, and discovered that I was actually much better at that than in running these different niche e-commerce businesses. I just kept leaning into it. That led me to start interviewing really successful and prominent leaders, doing lots and lots of those interviews. And after doing that for a while, I came up with this concept called 30-minute mentors, which is me going one-on-one for 30 minutes with the most successful leaders in America, Fortune 500 CEOs, founders of household name companies, Hall of Fame athletes, Olympic gold medalists. Through all of my interview work, I've now done interviews with more than 500 of the most successful leaders in America. And Penny, as you know, now what I largely do is speak about the best lessons that I've learned from those conversations. I also do a little bit of teaching at UCLA. I teach a couple of graduate level classes on leadership, and very different than what I was doing when I started, very different than what I was doing 5 years ago.
Right.
So whatever you're doing today might be very different than what you do tomorrow.
Absolutely.
But keep an open mind and follow your passion and just keep going.
What's one of the stories that just sticks with you that's made the biggest difference for you in the way you look at things? That's
a great question. And I'm going to be really honest with you, Penny, which is every interview I do, there's always that one, and I don't know, I'm actually curious if it's like this for you as well, because you're a great podcast host and have had so many great guests on your podcast. In my case, every interview I do, there's always that one nugget, that one gem, that one aha moment for me. And it's almost like literally on a guest by guest basis, I just think of that one thing where it's like a complete perspective shift for me. And as of the recording of this episode, I've released 168 episodes. So it's hard to hone in on just one out of all 168 where I could say this has been the one single biggest game changer.
Well, what's the most recent? It might be the one that's most in your mind.
I'll share a recent one with you. I did an interview with a person by the name of George Stevens Jr. And that episode was released last week. So that's why I'll bring it up.
It's fresh in your mind.
Very fresh. George Stevens Jr., founder of the American Film Institute, co-founder of the Kennedy Center Honors, 15-time Emmy Award winner, won the Academy Award for Lifetime Achievement. And I asked, George, you spent your life around the greatest of the greats, the greatest actors, the greatest actresses, the greatest directors. What can anyone do to attain greatness? And he said, well, it really is all the things that we've been talking about in this conversation, which all this stuff, and we can get into all that if we have the time. But then he went into a story, and he was telling me about a good friend of his who he got to know through nonprofit work, Yo-Yo Ma, the greatest cellist in the world. So George Stevens and Yo-Yo Ma got to know each other because both were heavily involved in trying to bring the arts into inner city schools in Washington, D.C. And Yo-Yo Ma is performing in an inner city school in Washington, D.C. and brings George along with him. George is observing what's going on. And he sees the students are completely mesmerized by Yo-Yo and just blown away by him. Yo-Yo gives a performance, and the performance is incredible. As good a performance as he's ever seen. He starts talking to him afterwards, and Yo-Yo Ma tells George Stevens, he says, anytime I give a performance, doesn't matter where it is, it's the single most important performance I am going to give this year. And to me, that was just a really powerful message, a really powerful moment, a really powerful takeaway, which is you could be performing in an inner city school in Washington, D.C. That's as powerful and as important as performing in Carnegie Hall.
Yeah.
And you don't need to be Yo-Yo Ma. You don't need to be George Stevens. Every single one of us can take that and bring that to our own lives. What do you do? What is it that you do? And are you bringing that energy? Are you bringing that focus to what you do every single day? Are
that
you
presence,
doing that?
that love, that attention, that absolutely.
Passion.
That
Are you
exactly
present?
that passion. Because he could have just been like, this is only 20 kids or whatever, right? But I think that is something that people who are great at what they do, that they are fully present in the moment, and they see that this every day is game day is an expression that I use, that they show up at their best because every day is game day.
I love it.
That's a great quote.
I love it. And your focus is focus, which is being present, being in the moment, not being pulled away by your cell phone, not being pulled away by the millions of other things that could pull us away. Being with someone, that is critical. Don't discount that. Don't dismiss that.
Awesome. Well, thank you. That's a great story, right? I appreciate that. So what haven't I asked you yet that you feel is really important, something that you'd really like to share with this audience who looking to think, act, and be more strategic in what they do, that they want to achieve that next level of success, and whether it's deeper relationships, whether it's bringing their business forward, right? It's not only in business, but what other tips or things that you feel like we really need to share before we end today?
I sort of used it as a little bit of a throwaway line, but I'll dive into it a little bit more deeply. I believe very strongly that most people in life are bad at most things. I personally am bad at so many things, Penny, that if we spent as much time as we could going through all the things that I'm bad at, not only would we spend the rest of the day, probably we go through all weekend, maybe through the rest of the year. And if you're honest with yourself, you're probably bad at most things too. But
absolutely, you can't be good at everything.
We're all good at a few things. We all have that one thing that makes us special. The more quickly you could figure out what it is about you that makes you special, the more successful you'll be in life, the more successful you'll be in business, the more successful you'll be as a leader. So my challenge to anyone listening is to get on that journey of discovering what it is about you that makes you special. What is it about you that makes you different? What is it about you that differentiates you from everyone you know? From your friends, from your neighbors, from your colleagues, what separates you? And once you understand that, in my experience, that's how you can attain next level success.
So I hope you're going to tell us how. You're not going to just drop that question and not have a potential way for us to do that. If that were so easy, then everybody would be doing it, right? So
that's my keynote.
And you're not going to share even a nugget with us here?
Well, I've shared a bunch of nuggets. So,
I mean, to answer that question.
Yeah. This isn't like your favorite TV show where they just pause and at part one of a 2-part episode, and then you have to wait a week. Think about the days before binging, where now you binge and it's like there's a cliffhanger, but there's no real cliffhanger because as soon as the episode ends, you could just start the next episode. Do you remember those days, Penny?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know how many of your listeners remember those days. I will not do that to you. We can talk about it. So there's a 3-step process.
Yeah, just a quick, obviously we don't want to give them everything, but if they can just have like a little taste of it. And then of course, we're going to send them to your website where they can hire you to come and talk to them and tell them more, right? So I'm sure that they're chomping at the bit right now. Like, tell me just a little something that'll help me to start that process.
I'm being a little facetious here, but I don't know how well dry humor plays across the screen here. I hope it does.
I don't know. We'll see what they guess.
So I've asked this question to tons of America's top leaders. Give you an example. I asked this question to Bill George. Bill was the former CEO of Medtronic. When Bill was the CEO of Medtronic, when he took over the company, it was a $1 billion company. When he left, we could look it up. I might botch the number here, but I want to say they were like a $40 billion company. One of the great CEOs of our day. Bill told me, how do you do it? Easy. Do two things. Look inward and look outward. Well, what does that mean? How do you look inward? How do you look outward? So I'll throw a few nuggets. Looking inward. Get to that place where you do your best thinking. For everyone, it's different. Where do you do your best thinking? It might be a rhetorical question. I'm asking you rhetorically, but Penny, I will ask you.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think it's good for the listeners to hear. Yeah. So I would say for me, believe it or not, I do it on a mountain bike. So it's when I'm in motion, I do my best thinking, or I love being in the mountains. So like when I'm in the mountains or in nature, that's when I do my best thinking.
Yeah, I love that. And for everyone, it's different. Mm-hmm. For me, it could be going to a baseball game. For someone, it could be going on a walk. It could be talking to a spouse. It could be doing yoga, meditating, taking a shower. Wherever it is for you, it really starts with getting to that place. And then there's a whole process, which the second thing I want to talk about is looking outward.
Okay.
Feedback. Another thing Bill shared with me, feedback, he said, is the breakfast of champions. I told him I thought Wheaties was the breakfast of champions. But the reality is that anyone who's ever been featured on a Wheaties box has only gotten there because they've been able to not only listen to feedback, but seek feedback. I've interviewed some of the greatest champions of all time, including some people who've been featured on Wheaties boxes, who've talked to me about the power of feedback.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about success factors, seeking feedback. So go out and talk to those around you. Go out and talk to as many people as you possibly can. So look inward, get to this place of deep introspection, but also go outward. Talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, talk to your mentors, talk to as many people as you can. And for each of these things, we can spend an hour on each, but at a very, very high level, that's how I would start thinking.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thanks for sharing that. It's appreciated. And I think people gives them a little bit of something that they can start to really look for, that thing that makes them stand apart. That's their special sauce.
I don't want to leave on a cliffhanger. That's such an unsatisfying feeling. You have episode 1, it ends, and then you're like, well, when's episode 2 going to come? I hated that when I was a kid, so I don't want to do that.
Awesome. So was there anything else that you wanted to share before we end the episode so that you feel complete and you feel that listeners feel complete?
I want to thank you, Penny. I want to thank you for having me. I want to thank you for hosting this great program. I want to thank you for the great work that you do, for helping people focus, for helping people understand how to focus, for helping people understand how to become more productive in their lives. At the end of the day, what is this all about? This is all about how do we become our best selves? How do we live life to the fullest? Something that I try to share with all audiences that I speak to is that when you're trying to figure out what you want to do, you want to try to check 3 boxes. Number 1, you want to try to do something that you love. Number 2, you want to try to do something that you're great at. Number 3, you want to try to do something that allows you to make a positive impact in the lives of others. If you do all 3 of those things, that's it. You found it. Doesn't feel like work.
Right.
You could wake up first thing in the morning and keep going until you have no energy left. You're fired up the next day to do it. But not all of us are there. In fact, most of us are not there.
Yeah.
Now, if you are there, then it's much easier to focus because you're locked in and you're dialed in.
It's very true.
If you're not there, Penny, I'll tell you, the work that you do is critical to helping people get to that next level and then get to that next level. So thank you for the work that you do.
Absolutely. Well, and from what you're expressing, right, is that's what you do, is you help people to focus. Because like you said, if you can't check those 3 boxes yet, then you're not going to be able to focus in the way that's going to give you the greatest leverage, the greatest joy, and the greatest level of success that you can achieve. So it sounds like we're pretty aligned there. So thank you.
Penny, we're very aligned. That's why I had such a great time today. I only wish we had more time so that I could give you at least the beginning of the list of all the things in life that I'm bad
at. We'll come back to that. That'll be version 2, right? That'll be our next session.
We need to make sure we block
out. Where can they get a hold of you? So just give us your website. It'll all be on the show notes, but just give us your best place to be contacted.
I try to make it really easy. Just my name, Adam Mendler. So you can go to adammendler.com.
Okay.
You can find me on social media at Adam Mendler on Instagram, at Adam Mendler on Twitter. My podcast, 30-Minute Mentors, is all spelled out. The word 30-Minute Mentors, available on all podcasting apps. However you're finding this great podcast, you can find 30-Minute Mentors. And Penny, thank you again. This was a real joy.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And thank you all for being here. I hope you took notes. I hope you decided for yourself, do you check all those 3 boxes? And if not, what do you need to think about? Where do you need to go, that special place that you think you're best, so that you can think about how that can stir and inspire you to know what's next for you in checking those boxes, and find that what makes you special, what you are really good at, and where you can make the biggest impact. So my name is Penny Zenker, and this is Take Back Time. See you in the next episode. Hey, thank you for spending this time with me. It really means a lot. If you're feeling a little off, distracted, overwhelmed, stuck, or just out of sync, remember that's your signal to reset. And that's all it takes, just recognizing one reset moment at a time. So stay tuned for more tips, tools, tricks, stories, strategies, all here on Time to Reset. We'll see you in the next episode.